Dr. DSchlunte from Vanderbilt University. Dr. Schlunt, before we end the show for today, let's see if we can have you to sort of work us out of the situation that we find ourselves in. You see, to give us some directions in terms of how we might be able to better meet this real health issue. Not only is it an issue of obesity, but it's an issue of health. Yes. You see, and let's see if we can work that out.
It's primarily an issue of health in my mind.
Very good.
Well, okay, there's two sides of it. One side is concerted action by communities to try to make the environment a healthier place for our families and our children. The second side is, to the extent that that's difficult or hard or is going to take 25 more years to do, we as individuals and families have to take steps to live healthier despite the difficult environment. So on that environment side, we've got efforts like those by the State Department of Health that are going to try to bring attention to the problem. A law was recently passed in the legislature to regulate the availability of junk food and sugared soft drinks in the elementary schools. And for example, if I wanted a prescription to make a child fat, I would give that child 2 20-ounce soft drinks every day and say, drink these up.
Is that bad?
And you're getting 500 extra calories a day right there. That's enough to gain a pound a week. So yeah, these are, I mean, these are not trivial issues. The extra calories from the soft drinks, the potato chips, these are all these things add up. So we're going to be looking at ways to try to make the environment healthier. If, for example, we walk outside behind the studio here, what do we find? We find that beautiful new Metro Greenway along the river. So we need to make safe and pleasant places for families and their children to go together to walk or ride bikes. We need to make sure there's playgrounds accessible to every neighborhood and every child. We need to make sure that there's physical activity that's built into the child's school day. So there's a lot of things that we can do. We may need to even look at some questions about how can we regulate the food industry. For example, in Britain, they've passed a law that food companies are not allowed to target their advertising at children during cartoon time, for example. So we may have to look at layers of solutions that deal with public policy, deal with the environment. We also have to work with the communities. So, for example, the African American community is disproportionately affected by this problem, particularly women.
Explain that.
Well, if you look at the way the weights develop from childhood through the teenage years, boys and girls tend to be about the same until about puberty, and then the girls keep getting heavier and heavier. What happens is that the African American girls, that curve is going up even faster. That's resulting in much higher rates of heart disease, hypertension, and diabetes. By the time African American women are 55 or 60 years old, 3 out of every 4 are overweight. So we have to think, as communities, this is endangering our health, this is endangering our well-being, and how can we all work together? Well, for example, let's just think about the African American church for a second. It's a part of the community that can say, what could we do to help our children be healthier? How could we suddenly become models of healthy behavior for our children? How can we be part of the solution, not part of the problem?
Very good.
And a lot of things could be done within the church setting, within the school setting, and so forth. Okay, so all of those things on one side is trying to make this a healthier world, a place where it's easier to make healthy choices. You're not afraid of being mugged when you go out for a walk. You're not assaulted by, would you like that supersized every time you go buy some food? So it gets easier.
So this is the environment.
That's the environment. So now, but in the meantime, if you take the path of least resistance, the consequences are pretty inevitable. So people have